Hello my dear students, in this video we are starting with lesson 8 study of continent and we will study about Africa. Before starting the class we have to learn about the factors and figures of Africa. And first we will discuss about the major mountains. These are the names of mountains: Atlas Mountain, Ethiopian Highlands, Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya, Mount Elgon, Rwenzori, Drakensberg. These are the major mountains. And highest mountain, Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain. And longest river, Nile river is the longest river. Victoria, Malawi, Chad, these are the major lakes. Sahara, Kalahari, Namib, these are the major desert. Maize, millets, wheat, rice, cassava, yam, cotton, oil palm, groundnuts, etc. are the chief crops. Diamond, gold, platinum, iron ore, copper, chromium, petroleum are the chief minerals and fuels. And what are the chief cities? Cairo, Nairobi, Harare, Cape Town, these are the chief cities. Okay, and next we can start with the lesson. And Africa, it was the home of the oldest human. Africa is known as the home of oldest humans, and it is the second largest continent on the earth. Africa is known as the home of the oldest humans, and it is the second largest on the earth. And most of the Africa was unknown to the outside world till the middle of the 19th century. Till the 19th century, most of Africa was unknown. So, this continent is called dark continent. Why? Most of the Africa was unknown to the outside world till the middle of the 19th century. That is why the Europeans called it the dark continent. Africa's steep plateaus, vast desert, dense forest, swamps, and the lack of good harbors discourage travelers and traders from going there. Very difficult to reach that area. Okay, and it discouraged travelers and traders from going there. And David Livingstone was one of the first European to explore Africa. Who was that? David Livingstone. He was the first European to explore Africa. And study the map of Africa carefully. You will notice that the continent is divided almost right through the middle by the equator. When we will study about Africa, we can see that, or we will notice that the continent is divided almost right through the middle by the equator. I hope that all of you know where is the position of equator. And the Tropic of Cancer north of the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn south of the equator also pass through Africa. The Tropic of Cancer, that means north of the equator, and the Tropic of Capricorn south of the equator, it pass through Africa. Okay, and Africa is separated from Europe by the Mediterranean Sea. Africa, it is separated from Europe by the Mediterranean Sea and almost touches Europe in the northwest at the Strait of Gibraltar. And here we discussed about major mountains, highest mountain, longest river, major lakes, major desert, chief crops, chief minerals, and chief cities. This continent, Africa, it is called a dark continent. Why? Because most of Africa was unknown to the outside world till the middle of the 19th century. That is why Europeans call it the dark continent. And David Livingstone was one of the first European to explore Africa. And now he can see the land, mountains and plateaus. Almost the whole of Africa is formed of a large plateau. Africa's almost all part is formed of a large plateaus. Within this large plateau are a number of smaller plateaus of different elevations. And African plateau is higher in the eastern and southern regions. African plateau is higher in the eastern and southern plateaus. The particularly steep southern edge of the plateau forms the mountain range called Drakensberg. Several mountains rise above the plateau, and there are some parallel ranges of mountains in northwestern Africa. We can see some parallel ranges of mountains in northwestern Africa. These mountains overlooking the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, and it is also called Atlas Mountain. It is called Atlas Mountain. There are some parallel ranges of mountains in Western Africa. These mountains overlooking the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. It is called the Atlas Mountain. Next, plains. Lowland plains are found only in the northern and western parts of the continent. A narrow strip of lowland runs all along the coast, but the coastal lowlands are far above the sea level. Lowland plains are found only in the northern and western parts of continent. Where we can see lowland plains, it is found only in the north and western parts of the continent, and they are very narrow. This is because the plateau drops sharply down to the sea. Rivers flow down the steep slopes and fall into the sea immediately, so they do not deposit much alluvium. This much is enough for today. We discussed about facts and figures. Then we discussed about mountains. Almost the whole of Africa is formed of a large plateaus, and within this plateau are number of smaller plateaus of different elevations, and the African plateau is higher in the eastern and southern regions, and there are some parallel ranges of mountains in the northwestern Africa. These mountains overlooking the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. It is called the Atlas Mountain. Then we discussed about plains. Lowland plains are found only in the northern and western parts of the continent. A narrow stripe of lowland runs all along the coast, but the coastal lowlands are far above the sea level. This much is enough for today. Up to here, all of you read again and again. It is very difficult to study the names of mountains and other figures. So read again and again. If you have any doubt, you can comment. You can ask through the comments. Okay.